New countries might seem like a thing of the past, but South Sudan proved otherwise. On July 9, 2011, it officially became the world's newest country after breaking away from Sudan. This wasn't just about drawing new borders, it marked a fresh start after decades of war and unrest. South Sudan adopted its own government, flag, and anthem, and its people began hoping for peace and stability. But what led to this moment? And what's happened since independence? In this video, we'll count down 10 key facts that explain how South Sudan came to be and where it stands today. Number 10. South Sudan was born. After one of Africa's longest civil wars, South Sudan's independence came after two brutal civil wars that lasted for a combined total of over 4 decades. The First Sudanese Civil War started in 1955, just a year before Sudan got independence from British Egyptian rule. The conflict was between the northern and southern regions, mostly over political power, religion, and access to resources. It ended in 1972 with a peace agreement that gave the South some autonomy, but peace didn't last. The Second Sudanese Civil War began in 1983 and lasted until 2005. This war was even more deadly, with around 2 million people losing their lives and 4 million displaced. At the heart of the conflict were deep divisions between the mostly Arab and Muslim North and the predominantly Christian and animist South. The South felt ignored, mistreated, and excluded from power. When the war finally ended in 2005, the peace deal included a major condition: the people of South Sudan would vote in a referendum to decide whether to stay in Sudan or become their own country. Number 9. The 2011 referendum had massive support for independence. In January 2011, South Sudan held a historic vote. The people were asked a simple question: should the region remain part of Sudan, or should it become independent? The result was almost unanimous. Over 98% of voters chose independence. That level of support is extremely rare in any kind of political vote. This wasn't just a political event. For many, it was personal. Generations had lived through war and chaos. Families had been torn apart, villages destroyed, livelihoods lost. For them, this vote was about survival, dignity, and hope. 6 months later, on July 9, 2011, South Sudan officially became an independent nation. It was recognized by the United Nations just a few days later. The celebrations were massive. People sang in the streets, waved their new flag, and cheered a future that finally felt possible. Number 8. South Sudan is one of the most ethnically diverse countries in Africa. While many think of South Sudan as a single unified group, it's actually home to over 60 ethnic groups. The two largest are the Dinka and the Nuer, but there are dozens of smaller communities, each with their own languages, traditions, and ways of life. This diversity is a strength, but also a challenge. Differences between groups have sometimes led to conflict. Political power struggles often fall along ethnic lines, and that's been a big part of the tension in the years after independence. Still, South Sudan's cultural richness is one of its most beautiful features. The traditional music, clothing, languages, and customs vary greatly from one region to another, offering a deep and colorful history that most of the world barely knows about. Number 7. Oil was a big factor in the separation. One of the biggest reasons behind the North-South conflict was oil. South Sudan has most of the oil reserves in the region. About 75% of Sudan's former oil fields are now located within South Sudan's borders. But the infrastructure like pipelines and refineries remained in the north. That means South Sudan has the oil, but not the means to export it without cooperation from Sudan. After independence, this created huge problems. Disputes over oil revenue led to shutdowns and standoffs. In 2012, South Sudan even shut down all oil production for over a year, damaging its economy and worsening tensions with Sudan. Even today, oil remains both a blessing and a burden. It brings in money, but also causes fights over control and profit. Number 6. The country faced a civil war just 2 years after independence. In 2013, just 2 years after becoming a country, South Sudan fell into civil war again. This time, it wasn't a war with Sudan, but an internal conflict between political rivals. President Salva Kiir from the Dinka group accused his vice, President Riek Machar, a Nuer, of plotting a coup. What followed was brutal. Thousands were killed. Millions were forced to flee their homes. Horrific stories of violence, including ethnic killings, shocked the world. Peace agreements were signed and broken repeatedly. It wasn't until 2018 that a fragile peace began to hold. This civil war was heartbreaking for many South Sudanese who had waited so long for independence only to see their dream fall apart again. Number 5. South Sudan has some of the worst living conditions in the world. Bring quick results. South Sudan is still one of the poorest countries in the world. According to the United Nations, more than 70% of the population lives in extreme poverty. Access to clean water, healthcare, and education is limited in many areas. The repeated conflicts, along with floods, droughts, and a lack of infrastructure, have made daily life incredibly hard. Malnutrition, disease, and displacement continue to affect millions. Many people rely on international aid just to survive. And yet, despite everything, people continue to hope. Communities work together, children go to school when they can. Farmers plant crops even after floods. The resilience of ordinary South Sudanese people is one of the most powerful parts of this story. Number 4. Juba is one of the world's newest capital cities. When South Sudan became independent, it chose Juba as its capital. Located on the White Nile River, Juba quickly became the center of government and business. But it wasn't ready to be a capital. There were very few paved roads. Power outages were common, housing was limited. Internet access was rare. Even today, Juba faces major challenges. It's one of the most expensive cities in Africa due to supply issues and insecurity. However, it's also the place where the country is trying to build its future. Government buildings, hotels, and embassies are slowly popping up. New schools and hospitals are being built. And more people are moving to the city in search of opportunity. Number 3. The flag is full of meaning. South Sudan's flag is simple but meaningful. It has 6 colors: black, red, green, white, blue, and yellow. Each color represents something important. Black stands for the people. Red for the bloodshed during the struggle for independence. Green symbolizes agriculture and the land. White stripes mean peace. Blue is for the waters of the Nile River, which is vital to life. And the yellow star represents unity and hope for a country that has faced so much division and suffering. These symbols mean a lot. Number 2. South Sudan is rich in natural beauty and wildlife. Despite all its challenges, South Sudan is home to some of Africa's most stunning landscapes and wildlife. The Sud, one of the world's largest wetlands, is found here. It's filled with birds, fish, and unique plant life. The country also has lions, elephants, antelope, and giraffes, so some of the largest animal migrations in Africa take place in South Sudan, but they remain mostly unknown because of conflict and poor access. Conservation efforts have been difficult. But experts believe South Sudan could one day become a major ecotourism destination if peace holds. It's a hidden gem, raw, untouched, and full of potential. Number 1. The country still faces a long road ahead. Being the newest country in the world comes with excitement, but also incredible pressure. South Sudan has a long way to go. Building a stable government, maintaining peace, improving education, creating jobs, and dealing with climate challenges are just some of the issues on the table, but there's also hope. Peace talks continue. Youth programs and schools are expanding. Local leaders and international groups are working together to build roads, clinics, and markets. Many young South Sudanese are getting educated abroad and returning home to help. It won't be easy. Progress is slow. But every small step counts. The people of South Sudan haven't given up. And their story is still being written. So now you know the newest country in the world isn't just a line on a map. It's a place of struggle, courage, and hope. South Sudan's journey has been painful, but its future is still open. If you found this story interesting, hit that like button, share it with someone who loves history or geography. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories from around. The world that you won't hear anywhere else. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.